Meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Moore, here. Mrs. Thompson, here. Mr. Gray,
Here.
Mr. Bittner, Ms. Wong, Mr. Lunder,
Here.
Mr. Johnson.
Here. Approval of the minutes from the regular meeting of council for April 22nd, 2025. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion made by Mrs. Thompson, seconded by Mr. Lunder. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Moore? Aye. Mrs. Thompson? Aye. Mr. Gray?
Aye.
Mr. Lunder?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye. Correspondence. Clerk, do we have any correspondence this evening?
I do not.
Does any member of council have correspondence this evening? Okay, then we'll go on to administrative department head reports. Mayor and Safety Director, Mr. Eva, good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Johnson, members of council, the public here this evening. On Sunday, May 25th, the AMVETS Post 109 Memorial Weekend Parade will begin at 1 p.m., starting here at City Hall. The parade route will be down Andrews Road, ending at the AMVETS Post on Lakeshore Boulevard, where a ceremony will be held after the parade. The fire department report for April. For the month of April, there are a total of 124 calls for service, 35 fire service calls, 89 rescue EMS calls. Of those 89 calls, 11 calls were for invalid assist. Department training in April, EMS drills. The topic was active shooter. Department shift drills for the month of April. EMS did elderly falls. Fire did water supply. Hands-on training was SCBA competencies. On April 13th, the department held their annual Easter egg hunt. Chief would like to thank all who helped make this a successful event. 2 inspections in April, 6073 Wedgwood and the Mamaroneck Lake Police Department holding cells. The department members who are part of the Lake County Hazardous Intervention Team also attended training in April. Those who celebrated a service anniversary in April include Battalion Chief Padawano, 33 years, firefighter Anania, 20 years, Lieutenant Langford, 17 years, firefighter Clems, 8 years, firefighter Padley, 8 years, firefighter Benlock, 5 years, firefighter Kovach, 5 years, firefighter Sunholm, 5 years. I sent out yesterday to all of council. I forwarded over the appraisal for Meadow Beach Park. Like to discuss that with council at the appropriate time. That concludes my report tonight.
Okay, thank you. Administrative Director, Ms. Martin, good evening.
So the new sign on the corner of Andrews and Lakeshore has been put up. I hope everyone gets a chance to look at it. And the street striping has started this week, so be cautious of their vehicles. We also have one more training session for the website before the launch, which will be before the end of the month. And we signed up to a grant program that will change our .org website into a .gov website. They're planning, they, as in the grant people, are planning to have everything updated by the end of the summer.
Thank you. Law Director, Ms. Schulte, good evening.
Good evening. I sent a memo over to you guys regarding the purchasing authority of the city. I'm happy to talk about that further. Additional questions, as well as more information on the fire truck situation.
Thank you. We may have questions when we get to that part, yeah. Thank you. All right, City Engineer Philip.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the council and the residents of Mamaroneck Lake. I am Patrick Krynock, civil environmental consultant standing in Bob Parker. I have reported on Southland that Enbridge Gas has finished their relocation in preparation for our drainage project. And First Energy and the contractor are coordinating their schedules currently to begin construction. Overlook Beach Park, Bob Parker had met with Parks and Recs Commission and all issues have been addressed satisfactorily, and we are moving forward with the project.
Okay, thank you.
How do you spell your last name?
Krinock.
Perfect, thank you.
Are there any questions for the administration at this time? Hearing none, we will move on to board committee commission reports, ordinance committee.
Ordinance committee met on April 29th at 7 PM. We discussed chapter review 474 and review changes from our law director. We approved as submitted from the law director. We have placed this on for next agenda meeting for passage. Ongoing discussions regarding e-bikes and scooters. We still have some questions and concerns regarding our ordinances and Ohio ORC. And we would like to see our ordinance, like to see how we can write our ordinances to balance. We have tentatively set our next ordinance meeting for June 3rd at 7 PM. We're also asking for the law director to attend if possible. We adjourned at 8:30 PM.
Thank you. Are there any other board committee commissions that have a report this evening? Hearing none, we will move on to open to the public to speak. Let's speak. Please come to the lectern and state your name and address for the record. It's your opportunity to speak to council. It's not a back and forth with council.
I'm Jim Huntington. I live on Ivy Drive. Got a problem with Republic disposal driving across the corner of my yard. We addressed this about a year and a half ago here. I was told it was gonna be taken care of, but it hasn't. I brought some pictures, what's happening. They're cutting the corner too close, and the weight of the truck and the soil compression is actually tilting the fire hydrant. That's how close they're getting. And I don't care, if they widen the asphalt on the road so people can make that turn, but I can't maintain the corner of my yard. I have about a 12-inch step off at the edge where I keep driving the trucks around. Somebody want to see these pictures? I've got it.
Please. Yeah, copies, sir. Can you have this?
You have this.
Okay, good. Thank you.
This is the corner
What
of
was the address?
Glen High 5619.
Thank you.
And like I said, they extend the asphalt so that I can finish my yard and not have to deal with this. Great.
Thank you.
That's all I've got.
Good evening. Some of you know me already, probably, been around too long. So anyway, if you don't know me, my name is Ted Maxey. I'm representing Ambets Post 109, Minnetonka Lake. I was commander before for 3 years. I took it again. Took it again for another 3 years, and then as of July 1st, I'll be done. So anyway, just to let you know that. But over the 3 years, I just appreciate working with City Hall. I've never had a problem before. They've always supported us. And on behalf of MS 109, I'd like to present a check of $500 to the Minnetonka Lake Police. That's good. I'll be in check. They probably don't warn it.
Thank you, Ted.
Thank you.
But again, I just want to thank the administration for everything they've always done. So really appreciate it. As far as the parade goes, he's going to give you the rundown real quick. He's running the parade. I will be doing the memorial at the post. Actually, our next commander, he is an active military person right now, and he did the presenting the flag of the memorial, and he's going to do it again this year. So he will fill you in on all this year. This is second place. And once again, I just want to thank everybody for what you have done. Show up for the memorial. It'd be really nice. And I'll make sure you have a seat right in front. You don't have to stand. Anybody in Sunny will stand. So we don't. Hey, we just appreciate you coming. Wayne. Thank you.
My name is Wayne Moynihan. I am the second vice for AMVETS Post 109. I live at 8126 Plains Road. As far as an update on the parade, we do have a color guard, which will be the American Legion Post 336. They will lead off the parade behind the police car, right? And then they will also be doing a rifle salute at the post at the appropriate time when we play taps. Our AMVETS Post Commander, Ted, and our AMVETS Auxiliary President, Samantha Sani, will be here at City Hall to help with the start of the parade, make sure everybody's lined up. We have reached out to a bunch of different organizations. Responses have not been the greatest. Granted, it's my first year taking charge of the parade, so I've learned quite a bit. Hopefully next year we'll be a little more successful, but the Daughters of American Revolution have confirmed that they have a conflict, will not be able to attend. We are currently working with the McMinn Youth Baseball League. They did tell us that if they can get their shirts issued in time, that they would possibly be marching in the parade. So we're still trying to find out if that got done. The mayor is going to be one of our guest speakers at the ceremony. John Rogers is going to do the invocation and the benediction. We have a young lady by the name of Jennifer that's going to do the national anthem. We are currently still seeking a bagpiper. The one that I've been reaching out to has been unresponsive. And that is my report. Oh, I apologize. Thank you for that. I did also bring some flyers, so I'll leave them if they want to get passed out or if people want them. One of the things that I think is unique, or the only place I've ever seen it was here at Mentor on the Lake, was the golf cart decorating. So we are trying to promote the golf cart decorating. We do give out trophies for best decorated. I think they gave out 3 trophies last year for first, second, and third. Although I think we only have 4 golf carts. So we're hoping for a better stock. So for all of you that have golf carts, decorate your golf carts, bring them out and enjoy the parade. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, doing something patriotic, American. Anything else I'm forgetting before I go? That's it. And then I'll just leave the flyers here on the table. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If you need an extra golf cart driver, if you have one, I'll be driving. I don't have one. My name's Jeff Schick, 7533 Salida Road, and I wanted to take a minute or two to talk to the council about the comprehensive planning process and just a bit of history for everybody's benefit. About 3 years ago, a number of the council and a bunch of the city members, citizens, worked with council, worked with administration, talked through all the things that were necessary about a comprehensive plan for the city to look out 10 years and to look at the whole city, not just one piece or another piece, but a big picture, truly comprehensive. And I compliment the council and administration for choosing a steering committee that was broad across the board. Public sector members, private sector members, and I'll quickly list their names. Ryan Finnick, Joe Solons, Chuck Snyder, Indy Rose, Jeff Snow, Lisa Savoca, Susan Schick, Dave Robleski, Cecilia Dewar, Andrea Thompson, Michael Kane, and our council liaison, Desiree Thompson. These folks worked for a long time reviewing, developing, and deciding on which of the contractors would do the job. And now we're one meeting away, the last public meeting coming up, and it's on our website. This administration's done a nice job. I'm saying it here today because maybe there's people watching that aren't reading the website. Look on the website, pay attention to the last public meeting. The comprehensive plan final report will go to the council soon after that time for the council's review and then preparation to give it to the administration for implementation. That's when the rubber meets the road. We can, I'm sure, all of us remember experiences where planning was really valuable and successful, and we didn't implement well. And I encourage the council to look back to the members of the committee in some way and involve us in that implementation activity, because there's already been great things that happened during that time of our planning so far. For example, the council said, let's go to the citizens and ask if we want to improve Lobo Park. And now we have a wonderful process in place to review Lobo Park, bring it up to a place where we can feel secure, hopefully feel secure that weather won't take it again. I'm not sure I believe in the size of the stones they've chosen at the bottom. I'm a naysayer on small stones at the waterfront. 40-some years tells me, get yourself some big stones at the waterfront. The Lobo Park was already a success, and that's in the plan. Other parks in the city, I heard something mentioned tonight. That's got to be something to talk about going forward also. But the public input started with a public survey. Steering committee, public members, all the way through, council and administration involved in that. When we get to the implementation of a plan, I want to encourage council and administration to look at the plan as an action document, not a static document. It has to be dynamic. And I know for one, I'm happy to contribute to the council in some other way to support you as we go forward after that comprehensive plan is complete. And a final note for my comments tonight, I look forward to talking about Menor Beach Park. It's been a fun thought for me for a long time. And thank you for the time.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Oh, sure.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay. Very good.
Hello, my name is Fred Beach. I live at 7595 Pinehurst. And I have a couple of questions for you guys. The first one is, I'd like to know how come nobody rides around to enforce any ordinances, cutting grass, and when people do cut their grass, we mow it out the street, just leave it there, not bringing their garbage cans in at a proper time. I'd like to have an answer for that whenever you get to it. And also, I'd like to know, I have a neighbor that stands out in his driveway and smokes dope all the time. And I have to shut the windows in my house. What are my rights that I have to smell that crap when I don't want to smell it? I know it's legal, but why does it have to permeate into my house?
Yeah, so I'll encourage you to wait around after the meeting and talk to the mayor directly, because that falls under the administration.
Because I did call the dispatcher police department.
Mhm.
And all they would tell me was it's legal and he's within his rights, but I don't seem to have it on that. And if you could write ordinances, maybe they have to smoke in their house or something, because it's through the whole neighborhood. It really is. It's really bad. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bill Cleveland, 7607 Salida Road. I'd just like to speak about Lobo Park for a couple of minutes. I'm pleased that the mayor was able to get broad support for the project, appropriating $1.2 million, way more than enough to get the job done, so we're not short on money. My concern is, when we finally got rid of CT Engineering, I thought we probably got rid of overcharging the economies. Now I'm starting to wonder if we really did. Been a year and a half since that money was appropriated. 2 years ago, we had an unofficial but serious quote on the whole project. Complete armor stone, done right, lake access, engineering drawings, permit, the whole enchilada for under $700,000. So far, all I've seen is a sketch and a semi-proposal that bleeds incompetence, alluding to what Jeff had said. Nobody with any experience or knowledge of revetment work would have put anything forward like our current engineer did. That's concerning. But I'm sure they didn't do it for free. All they've done so far is run a little drone over the embankment and take pictures. And a year and a half later, we don't appear to have accomplished anything. And we simply got proposals or quotes, estimates from, say, Hayes, Huffman, whoever you want, who have all responded quickly. Project could have been done by now, plans, engineering, so on. I'm thinking, what exactly are we waiting for? What exactly is a holdup here? $1.2 million. And the whole thing, as of 2 years ago, could have been done for under $700,000, leaving us extra money for parks and recreation or whatever other good things we want to do. I'm wondering who needs a kick in the butt to get this job done. Thanks.
Anyone else? Hearing none, we'll, oh.
Susan Schick, 759 Salida. So I did not realize that the final plans were done for the park. So are there drawings that the community can see as to what exactly is going to be done there? But I did not realize that it was that it's ready to move forward, as I was understanding, right? So.
With final design.
Pardon me?
With final design.
So there's not a final design? So things could still change? Yes. Okay. So I would like to make sure.
I forgot something else I'd like to bring up. The parking lot up there from Marks and all that area, there's potholes up there that swallow the front end of your car. I'd like to know how come it's not being addressed. There's been a limb down up from one of the trees up there laying. It's been down since like February. Nobody's picked it up. And I mean, it's atrocious up there. It looks like you might as well drive through a parking lot in East Cleveland is what it looks like.
Thank you. Anyone else? Last call. Going once, going twice. All right, we're going to close this portion open to the public speak. We will now move on to legislation before council. Ordinance number 2025-0-09 has been referred to the zoning committee. So we'll go to ordinance number 2025-0-10. If you please read it by its title.
Ordinance number 2025-0-10, an ordinance to amend the 2025 appropriation ordinances and declaring an emergency.
Okay, does the administrative director want to speak on this?
Directly related to the This is directly related to the McMinn Park fence. The was 1,800 feet of linear feet of fence. To replace that as a 6-foot privacy fence.
Did you say 1,800 feet of 6-foot privacy fence?
I don't think my memo was submitted, but props to the amendment, yeah, 1,820 linear feet.
Okay.
Okay, I had a question about that. So you got 3 bids for that. Is there a reason we're not just having the service department replace the fencing? I mean, in the past, they've replaced panels of the fencing, and would it not be cheaper to use them and even do it in stages?
We need to, like, they're gonna tear down the fencing, which will save us a ton of money. But to do, all to replace that fencing, it would not be cheaper. Because we would still have to buy all that fencing. All 1,820 linear feet.
Okay. Questions for anyone?
I have a question. So if we have the employees that have the skills to do this and part of their job is to maintain the parks and things like that, would it not be cheaper for us to buy the material and have our employees on staff do that versus hiring it out?
Where you still have the steel posts, which then you have to put in the concrete, we would have to buy or rent.
But Is it wood down there now?
No, the posts are steel posts that actually. They're steel posts. With concrete.
Okay. So they're not capable of doing that kind of work?
They're capable of doing it, but if you have to, like, we find all of that fence. And then they would have to rent a machine. And then, I mean, by the time you do all that, I mean, it would be a wash, and plus you wouldn't have any warranty on it, just like that salt shed that everyone put up.
If we have ways to do things in-house and be effective, I question spending $62,000 to hire this out. I just,
Can we get a
yes.
cost estimate for what it would cost to do it in-house? Because I would like to see if the numbers really are a wash or what the numbers would end up being. That way we know if we're doing the right thing with taxpayer money.
Sure.
Okay, this will, unless there's a motion on this, this will stay for second reading. So we'll go into second reading. Resolution number 2025-R-17, if you could please read it by its title.
Resolution number 2025-R-17, a resolution authorizing and directing the administrative director to enter into agreements with the city of Mentor for the 2025 asphalt road program and declaring an emergency.
Any questions on this?
Special.
Was Schedule A basically the same thing we got with the concrete? Just the,
It should be just asphalt there.
yeah, okay, so,
We separated it this year.
right.
Is there a time? Do they have a date on when this needs?
They have to put it out for bids.
Oh, they have to put it out for bid yet. Okay.
There a motion on this?
Make a motion to suspend.
Second.
Motion made by Mrs. Moore, second by Mrs. Thompson for suspension of the rules. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Moore?
Aye.
Mrs. Thompson?
Aye.
Mr. Gray?
Aye.
Mr. Lunder?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Passage.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Lunder, second by Mrs. Thompson. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Moore?
Aye.
Mrs. Thompson?
Aye.
Mr. Gray?
Aye.
Mr. Lunder?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye. All right, moving on to old business. We will start with the fire truck expenditure. All right, let's see. So I had some questions I wanted to go over first for the fire truck. What was the date that the fire truck was actually ordered?
So I signed the intent to purchase. It's not dated. It was after. It was after the appropriations were approved. And I don't recall which council meeting that was.
Okay. Mayor, when did you first learn that the truck was ordered?
I talked to the chief and it's on me, and this is an intent to purchase. Okay, it's not a binding contract. Okay,
Is that correct, law director?
They have it already have it signed, so it's not binding, and there's no council approval, so.
But if they had signed it, it wouldn't be binding because we didn't approve it, but is it a contract or is it not a contract?
I mean, it's a document, it's not signed, so it's not valid. It is an.
I understand that it's not valid until they sign it, but was it a contract that we signed inappropriately is my question.
I mean, it was signed inappropriately, correct?
Right. And so when did you learn about this, Mayor?
After I talked to the chief,
And when was that though?
I couldn't tell.
Was
you
it
the date.
before the last council meeting?
For the last time? No, it was when we had talked, he had asked me, should I go ahead with it? And I told him, yes, go ahead.
So
So
it
it's
wasn't before the last council meeting,
Was
we
not.
found out that it was ordered.
No, it wasn't before the last time.
So it was a surprise to you that it was ordered?
No, it wasn't surprising.
I'm very confused then.
Well, I'm confused by your question.
Well, I'm trying to understand the timeline of what
Okay.
exactly occurred, and so that we can correct it for the future and make sure it doesn't happen again.
Okay, it was March, maybe, the end of March.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So after the appropriations,
after the appropriation, right?
but before the last council meeting, which was in April.
That's correct, yes.
Okay. So I guess my question then is, if you guys knew about this, that the truck, the intent to purchase was already basically, the order was placed for the truck. Why didn't you let council know before we started going through this charade of approval? I mean, we were asking for the quotes on all of them. If you've already made the decision that you're going to order something without our approval, this was a charade of us asking for quotes and going through them and reviewing them and asking questions if you guys have already made a decision without council.
I believe in the folders that you provided to council, the quotes were in those folders.
Those were
Yeah.
just numbers. They were not quotes. Okay? Quotes outline all the costs. And so we can compare apples to apples, everything that's in there. And council hadn't agreed to anything yet. Has the order been canceled at this point? The illegal, the non-binding contract, has that been rescinded?
Not that I'm aware of.
Why not? If it's non-binding contract, if it isn't even a valid contract, why have we not rescinded it from them?
So you technically, as council, if I may, you can choose to ratify it. So I think the idea was maybe see what your guys' decision was, so you, as you just said, you can ratify it, or you can start over. So I think maybe that was their thoughts.
What does council wish to do?
So I'd like to speak to the packet that had been presented. So in the packet that was presented, we were given the spec sheet and the pricing of the fire truck that was no longer available. And that was provided in detail. And then we were just given like a Word document that had other names on it and prices, like there was nothing specific provided against about those other people that you guys had spoken to about how much is the fire truck gonna cost. It would have been helpful to have the detailed information of all those, which I'm assuming, since they had the numbers they had, because I don't know if you can just call up Joe Schmo fire truck dealer and say, hey, what's a truck gonna cost me? I'm assuming you have to give them the details of what you wanna purchase to get that information. So that would have been helpful to have all that detailed information. The truck that you're getting has changed 3-4 times since we even started talking about this, because different trucks aren't available and things like that, so. I would like to see, like, go out there, put out an RFP, say this is the truck we want, these are the tools we want, these are the specs we want. Let's get 3 competitive bids and see who's gonna help us with the best price.
So we've done that. And I presented that to council. It's the same as it always been. The truck that we have presented to council is the lowest and the best price. Base price. That's what you're gonna get with any RFP. They're gonna give you the base price. Off of the base price, we decided that the best and lowest price was the truck that we would like to move forward with. And that is when we presented that dealer, these are the options that we want done, and that's how we got that final price.
Wasn't this also in front of the safety commission or some type of approval?
The safety committee reviewed it as to whether they should go with a bumper truck or a ladder truck. That is what their recommendation was, to go with a bumper truck. That is the only recommendation they have made. So yes, but that is just the safety committee, not the committee, the entire council.
I want to make one comment too. At the last council meeting, you did submit letterheads from different departments, part of our manufacturers. I don't believe, if I went over to them, they weren't apples to apples. You look at Pierce. Pierce had like 6, 7, 8 pages of stuff on there. And yet the one that you're looking at was only 1 page or 2 pages. I don't think that stuff was apples to apples, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, I just don't trust anything right now.
Oh, yeah,
I have no faith or confidence in them to provide us the information we need. And I'm very disappointed in this, but it is what it is.
Did you not put out an email to the chief saying, this is what I need?
Yeah, after you guys had already put it in order. I mean, what a charade. What a complete charade.
My point is, you told him exactly what you needed and he gave it to you. Now, I don't understand what charade you're talking about here.
What part of we put in an intent to order a truck without council's approval before council had reviewed the actual quotes and made a decision? What part of that is not clear to you, Mayor?
What's not clear is all of this was in the appropriations that was approved by council.
That is not the approval of the expenditure. That is the approval of appropriating money to buy a truck. That doesn't mean we're going to actually go forward with buying the truck. It's saying we will budget for a truck. Is that not correct, Law Director? Thank you. So just because we budget for something does not mean we are going to approve it.
One of the things that really upsets me about the whole thing is that last fall, we spent $36,000 on that ladder truck. And now the thing sits in reserve because it's not operable. It's not rotating, it's not doing nothing, it's sitting there. The number 1 truck sits in front all the time. Why do we spend $36,000 on it if you're not going to use it?
Anybody else have anything on this? I'd like to know, are all our contracts reviewed by the law director prior to execution of the contracts?
As far as I know, yes.
Is that correct? I'm asking all of you, are we having the law director review all our contracts before they're actually executed? Previously, currently, in the future?
Previously, Lions was not a fan of reviewing long contracts.
Okay, we'd be doing that with Ms. Schulte.
Sure.
Okay, I would highly recommend that she review all our contracts to make sure they are in our best interest. Is there any motion on this at all? Either to approve, request they rescind the purchase request, receive new bids, what, is there anything? Otherwise, it's just gonna sit here for another meeting.
I'm just not in approval of any of this.
Is that a motion of some kind?
Like you said, I have no faith over there at all. Everything keeps changing. And I want to I'll make a motion to rescind everything.
Okay. Been a motion made. Is there a second to the motion? Motion is to rescind the purchase, intent to purchase that has been made.
Could we have the safety committee look at the bids that they have provided and give a recommendation? As to if it is apples to apples, if it is a good comparison.
Safety committee chair's not here, so I can't schedule a meeting for them anyway, so.
Okay.
There's a second to the motion. Hearing none, motion fails. Are there any other motions on this?
We send it with the intent of 3 new bids. My recommendation.
Okay, so you're making a motion to rescind the current contract. Replaced with 3 new bids. Is there a second on that motion? Okay, motion made by Mr. Gray, second by Mrs. Moore for rescinding the current purchase agreement. Requesting 3 new bids. Any discussion on the motion?
I would just like to see the full committee be able to vote on this. And I know we have 2 out. Just my thinking.
Okay. Roll call on the motion, please.
Mrs. Moore,
No.
Mrs. Thompson,
No.
Mr. Gray,
Aye.
Mr. Lunder,
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye. All right, moving on to the dump truck. So now, every purchase request should have an actual resolution. Is that correct, Schulte? That we should have a resolution for every purchase request that is over the $50,000 mark, so that we are clear on how we're doing this. Yes.
So if you're gonna competitively bid it, a resolution to competitively bid, and solicit bids, then follow-up resolution, once you guys determine what you determine is the best and lowest best bid, then you have a resolution passing that, and if you are going to do cooperative purchasing to purchase an item over 50,000, also please indicate that in a resolution that says we are going to purchase this through cooperative purchasing, whatever resource, whatever it is. Just so it's clear going forward.
Thank you, I agree with that. So we will need a resolution for the dump truck. As well as the police truck.
Yeah, it's just following precedent. That's what was that.
Since these 2 are already in the works, we could, I mean, if you guys want to move forward on these, otherwise, I would say.
I'm inclined to go ahead and do the resolutions for everything. That way it is clear how we are doing this and that the approvals are in place. All right, next on the agenda is new business, the park.
Go back to the fire truck. Where are we at with that?
So we are on rescind the current application for purchase.
Okay.
And they have requested 3 complete bids. Not just final numbers, but 3 bids outlining what is actually included in the purchase price.
What kind of truck?
The pumper truck that they're requesting.
The bids are gonna be based for the truck holder. It's not gonna include, alterations to the truck the way that we need them.
Why can't we get those?
Because that's not part of the bid. That's, you get the bid from the manufacturer through your cooperative bidding company. Then you go to the dealer of that manufacturer and you say, this is what we need done to the truck to make it for Mineral Lake. And then that's where you get those. So if you want, and that's what I tried to do last night. I tried to give you the base price, and then I tried to give you as close to apples as I could. But the modifications that Axles and Irons were giving us, I wasn't able to get that from the other 2 companies.
So if that's what you're looking for, we can do it, but I'm telling you, the bid process is for the base price of the truck. Yes.
I have a question. So if any truck you purchase is going to need modified to make it what you want. If X's and irons priced out the modifications and you go to company B and company C and you get prices, how are you going to do those modifications? Like, were you gonna have to buy it and then send it out somewhere else? Like, I don't understand how X's and irons could quote you on doing modifications, but no other bidders could quote you on modifications to make the truck what you want.
Right.
There's only one company that does modifications.
No, we actually saw the truck that we wanted to purchase. When we got the numbers and we saw that the axles and irons, it's the Fouts Brothers vehicle was the lowest and the best price. That's the truck that we physically looked at and said, okay, this is what we need changed on the truck. And these are the tools that we're gonna need. And that's how we got that. We honestly felt that with that being the best priced truck, that council wouldn't have the problem, considering the other trucks were much more money, even before the modification. So we did not do the modifications or inquired with the other dealers. And that's what happened with that.
Hey, if we're gonna have to spend money for modifications and it's gonna be over $50,000, we need to know who are we spending the $50,000+ to?
Right, we don't know if you went with Spartan, which is less than $50,000 more, is the cost of modifying that going to be significantly less than what it costs for Fouts? We don't know that. All we have are the base prices and one model that has all of the modifications that need to be made, which added up to almost $200,000 or something like that. So I have no idea. Maybe the Fouts is only going to cost us $150,000, in which case it's a wash. It's to which two of the two trucks, or maybe it's going to cost $125,000, which makes it the cheaper one. I don't know that because that information hasn't been provided.
Or is there a truck out there that doesn't need as much modification?
Well, that's kind of the question. Like, does Spartan not need as much modification, or does it need more? I don't know that.
Well, if you look at the one that he's purchased, and you look at the Spartan manufacturer, which come in at $770,000, but then he said it didn't include the modifications.
Well, that's the point.
And that was the same chassis. It was a Spartan chassis.
Yeah, I don't know if you buy it from company B, can you send it to company A and get the modifications, or do you gotta go with somebody else? Because if you buy it from company B, they only do modifications with whoever.
That would be like buying a Ford and sending it to Chevy for modification or for gas. So
I don't know. I don't know. I don't do fire trucks. That's why I'm asking you that. You're our chief.
yeah, no, they don't do that. They stay with their brand.
So it's
Their
preferred
manufacturer. Yeah.
All right, so we're missing the modification part. All right, I understand. Thank you.
All right, back to new business. The park.
Ken Flipiak, the Center City manager, gave me a call Friday, and sounds like Center City Council is ready to sell the property. If you look at the appraisal, it's coming in about $1 million. They are not interested in leasing the park. They are interested in selling the park. On our end, of course, we would do our due diligence, what needs to be fixed, renovated, what condition it's in, before we move forward with anything. If council is interested, I would suggest we meet with Ken Lipiak and probably a couple members of their city council to talk about the parameters with going forward with purchasing, if our council is interested in purchasing the park.
Notice in the appraisal that it would have potentially deed restrictions on it, so that would have to remain as a park. How would that impact any potential use as putting a restaurant in there? Which was, the plan we had at one point.
Right. I saw that too, and I thought the deed restriction would probably, and Schulte could answer that probably better than I could. That is their deed restriction, but we, as the city of Manor Lake, would, when we talked about the restaurant or anything else, we would rezone that, correct? Or we could potentially rezone that to commercial.
What if the deed restriction required it to remain as a park? Would we be allowed to do that? Or would it turn back over to them?
Well, it depends if that deed restriction carries over to when it's deeded to you guys, so, that is something to look into and ask, and like, we'd have to look into everything.
Right. So there's some concerns there as to, what strings are attached to a purchase.
Well, and the idea of the restaurant many years ago, I don't think the intent was to even close the park portion.
No,
We still had the beach and the playground and so on and so forth. But I don't know if by keeping that would satisfy that deed restriction.
Right. Since we don't actually know what the deed restriction would be, other than they mentioned that in the.
Yeah, there would be specific, just limitations and.
Right.
It wouldn't just say it has to be a park. It would usually be like,
I would say if council would like to move forward, and I know the meetings we had with the steering committee and comprehensive plan, a lot of that centered around doing something with Meadow Beach Park. And I'd be more than willing to call Ken, set something up for us, to talk to them about.
Yeah, I'm all for getting the park.
Yeah, I would
I'm in on that too.
like to move forward, support. Meeting with them.
Somebody want to make a motion to move forward with,
I will make a motion to move forward with meeting with the city manager of Mentor and whatever attendees he would like to bring.
okay, motion made by Mrs. Thompson, second by Mr. Lunder, roll call please.
Mrs. Moore?
Aye.
Mrs. Thompson?
Aye.
Mr. Gray?
Aye.
Mr. Lunder?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye. Okay, so if you can set that up.
Thank
Do any other new business tonight? Maybe need a resolution for that too.
Oh.
Sure. Good. Hearing no new business, we will go to open the public to speak. If you'd like to speak, please come to the lectern and state your name and address for the record. Again, it's not a back and forth with council. It's your opportunity to speak to council.
I can't sit through one meeting without standing at the phone. Paul Morris, 7592 Pinehurst Drive, Mineral Lake. First of all, I have been involved in buying at least 3 engines in the city. I know what the bidding process used to be like. I don't know if it's still the same, but I'd be more than willing to sit down with Chief Chatsco and give my hand and show what has to be done. Because I know in the past, we would take a spec from a truck that we liked, and that goes through to this ambulance. We would take that spec and exactly how that truck is constructed, and we would make our modifications, and that became our spec. That got sent out to different manufacturers for bidding. When that occurred, manufacturers had the option to take exceptions to anything we put in there. So therefore, you look for what exceptions you're taking and figure out, does that meet our requirements still? Or is they stripping in too much off of that we can't deal with that? So that's pretty much how the bidding process used to work. Also, I was very successful in years past repairing our equipment when it was intermittent electrical problems. I'm offering my services once again to come down to this fire station and see if I can find why those circuits are intermittent. Because and I personally, I'm against buying a new fire truck because I haven't heard anything that says that truck should be retired.
There's the safety committee meeting on March 3rd. They reported that there's roughly 3,500 hours on the meter and approximately 24,000 miles on it. That's a new truck yet. Somebody's gonna be thrilled to death to get that, especially after our council, our city has spent so much money on repairs on that truck. That's a shame. And that truck's gonna ultimately cost us roughly $1 million. Personally, as a resident of this city, if we're gonna go $1 million in debt, I'd rather see it to buy the park down there and get a few more years out of this engine. Thank you.
Fight,
Okay.
fight, fight.
Here you see Amberlocky, 7589 Salida Road. I would say I agree with Paul Morris on the bid process, putting together the equipment that you want. And make sure it's as close as you want, you go to bid. Now, the only caution is that you want 3 bids, you might only get 2, but if they're competitive bids, you just gotta do it. Thank you.
Should learn never to fight with a fire chief. Sneak up behind me. Exciting news about the park. Exciting news that you made the effort. Our comprehensive plan considered it, and our wording actually said optimize the opportunity. So that opportunity is here. I hope that the council and the mayor is willing to include some of the members of the steering committee who have public sector buying support, working with our consultant Envision to talk about strategies. There are many things in the comprehensive plan that relate to how and why and what to do if that park becomes available. I hope there's no time limit on this little piece of paper that we have from them. I hear it's just a couple of pages. And if we can help you in looking at it, thinking about it, and maybe this is just an open question, I'm quite surprised that a public city over there thinks they have authority to make deed restrictions on property over here in another city that's another piece of public property. I'm confused by that concept.
It might have already been in the deed.
So just to carry over that we could eliminate in the negotiation process. Yeah, happy to help in any way we can.
Well, I also think part of it is they want it to remain a park because otherwise they could sell it for a lot more money than to sell it to us for the price that they listed it as, being appraised at. It would appraise for a lot more money, so.
Yes, in my brain, I'm asking myself, should I say, what was the process that was used to come up with their evaluation or valuation of the park? Be interested to see what it is, because it's not a commercial property, it's different. So, I'd hate to be paying for money that somebody else spent there.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Kathy Bonell, DOHNAL, 6097 Thunderbird Drive. I'm blessed with a voice, might be a Johnson thing, that carries. Some of y'all talk like mice. Love you to death. Don't know if it's the mic, but us old people in the back, we can't hear you. So if you could do something with the mic or take extra voice lessons, but we'd really like to hear what you have to say. We miss so much going on of information. We'd appreciate it if we could do something, maybe volume, please. Thank you.
Juanita Miller, 7597 Salida. I have just been getting texts from people who have been trying to log into the meeting, and none of them were able to get on. So I'm just bringing that somebody's attention.
We've heard that before.
We've tried that before.
Red Beach again, 7595 Pinehurst. A couple questions about buying the park. One, shouldn't it go up to a vote, work with the community, how they want their tax money spent? How are we gonna raise money for upkeep for that park when nobody's taking care of that park that steps going down to the beach. They've been gone for years. And it's been my understanding 8 to 10 years ago that people were looking into grants to fix that park, dropped the ball and never did anything about it, just let them go to the wayside. So if we can't buy fire trucks, how are we gonna afford taxes to pay for upkeep on that park? I'm for the park 100%, but what I see down there at the park at the end of Reynolds Road is a joke. That should have been taken care of a long time ago. Thank you.
Anyone else? Hearing none, we'll close this portion open to public speak. Announcements and settings of meetings. We have the Envision Steering Committee meeting Thursday, May 22nd at 7 p.m. The Zoning Committee is meeting Wednesday, May 28th at 6:30 p.m. Envision Public Meeting is held Thursday, June 6th, 2025 at 7 p.m. Next regular meeting of council is Tuesday, May 27th at 7 p.m. Next ordinance committee is June 3rd at 7 p.m. Is that correct? Are there any other meetings that need to be scheduled?
The ordinance committee would like to schedule a meeting for June 3rd if Ms. Schulte is available at that time at 7 p.m. If not, we can find another day that works in your schedule.
Okay,
It's just, I knew they were both gonna be out today, so we wanted to have a tentative date, you know, so if you can check and just let us know. So we'll say tentatively right now, June 3rd, 7 p.m.
Tentatively, June 3rd. 7 p.m.
7 p.m.
Okay, any other meetings?
For adjournment.
Motion made by Mr. Lunder, second by Mrs. Moore. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Moore? Aye. Mrs. Thompson? Aye. Mr. Gray?
Aye.
Mr. Lunder?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye. We are adjourned.